The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat.
You're listening to Truth Talk.
Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere.
With Paul Webster and Chance George.
The first year of global governance with the establishment of the G20 in the middle of the financial crisis.
President Bush signed a formal agreement that will end the United States as we know it.
Nope, no weapons over there.
People who have been yelling, oh, the UN's going to take over global
conspiracy
government.
Theorists.
They've been crazy, but now they're right.
Yeah.
Maybe under here.
But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that.
Hello and welcome to Truth Talk Radio. Apparently we're having some problems with our intro song, but it's the 21st day of July 2012. We're live on the air. Apparently our guest host will be calling in from the road. Let me see if I can try and get him up and on the air. Let's call his phone here. Do we have you there? Is Paul on the air?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on? Apparently we've
same
got
old
our...
you?
Yeah. Apparently I thought you were my guest host, but apparently Terry's already called in. Today on the show we're going to have Terry from the Canadian Action Awareness Network. He basically started his own project on his own and has taken it to kind of a level of confronting politicians, bringing different news stories to the front line, and he's done it in Brantford to Hamilton. He's kind of all over the place. Welcome to the show, Terry.
Thanks for having me, man. How you been?
Oh, busy.
I hear ya.
So,
how's it?
What's that?
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
What would be basically the front and center issue on your site today, or what's the number one issue you guys are kind of looking at in the main spotlight on Canadian Awareness Network?
Well, right now, I'd have to say it's Agenda 21, the Green Movement. It always varies. They're always pushing, we see globalists pushing all different angles all the time, but the Agenda 21 is coming into every city, every town, and it means of stealth. I've lived here in Hamilton for almost 2 years. I've never seen anything about it, but then when you go to City Hall and learn about what they're doing behind the scenes, there's about 30 different programs in place. I imagine Paris and Brantford have the same. There's an NGO called ICLEI, I-C-L-E-I. We've got 33 Canadian cities signed on to that. What they do is they push Agenda 21 at a municipal level. And if you're not too sure about what Agenda 21 is, it's pretty much a total takeover of all your land, your property, your food supply. It will condense us all down into mega cities. If you've ever seen the Wildlands Project out of the States, the biodiversity programs, that's where that comes from. So we're just doing our best to try to expose that right now.
All right. Now, basically the reason I was picking you for today's show is one of the main reasons or excuses, I guess, would be that the average person, when I'm bringing this up to someone who's unaware and uninformed about what's going on, when I say to them, oh, this is an issue, we've got GMOs in our food, we have fluoride in the water, we have the 9/11 was an inside job, we have the Federal Reserve making money out of nothing, all the issues that we bring up, the typical response I get from people is, yeah, I'm just one guy. What can little old me do? So I thought, as an example, there's a guy, Terry, who said, hey, what can I do? He started his own Facebook, We Are Change Brantford, and then that grew to a level where he moved it to Hamilton, and now he has his Canadian Canadian Awareness Network. I can never say that one. And then basically just tell people about how you confront people, and you have your own YouTube stuff, and what's going on with you. What was your tale like?
Well, you know, I felt the same way when I first became politically awakened to what's going on. You know, I'm just one little guy. What am I going to be able to do? But then just sat back and really reflected on, well, if everybody thinks that way, none of us are going to get anywhere. And you'd be surprised the difference one person can make. As you said, we've confronted countless politicians. You know, guy I work with, Frankie, he's gone out and megaphoned the Prince Charles there. We've confronted Andrea Horwath, Jeff, Elizabeth May, all sorts of political leaders, and people will actually come around when you go and ask them a real question. Go and ask Andrea Horwath about her supporting a carbon tax and watch her response on it, or ask them about Bilderberg Group or anything. I think that speaks volumes. So all you have to do is go ask a question, and you can make a huge difference. You know, these are the questions that I think we all know the mainstream media isn't going to ask. But one person can ask that question. And even online, you know, doing a website, YouTube videos, or even on your Facebook, sharing that information, you reach a lot of people. You know, you've got a few hundred friends on your Facebook, and it just spreads everywhere. So.
Now, do you find when you share an article on your Facebook, and if you had 200 friends on your list, do you find that the majority of the people are receptive of this, or is there something that you end up arguing with a battle on the internet about, or how does it ferret out when you post something?
A little bit of both. It all really depends on what it is and how controversial it is. When I first started out, it was pretty rough. You know, of course, lost a few friends, and my sister even referred to me as a cult leader because I was the head of We Are Change Brantford. But those same people that weren't talking to me and my sister, they're now coming to me asking questions. So it really is a process. Even the people who don't like what you're doing will eventually come around because the tyranny is becoming so great. Basically, everybody's seeing it.
So you're finding that it may have become easier now for people to share information without basically being ridiculed as much. I know 10 years ago if I tried telling someone those towers didn't fall down, that's not what happened. It's completely bogus, the story. Basically, I would have been laughed at. You're an idiot. You're hysterical. There's nothing to that. Now, at least it's 50-50 whether someone's going to freak out or whether they're going to say, I think I heard something about that. So
yeah, exactly.
Seems to be coming to a head.
Yeah, the awakening is coming around, and there's going to be more and more people. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you go out and start talking about that stuff, you will get people who don't agree with you. I still get it to this day on YouTube, on the street, everywhere. But the numbers, you know, they're starting to turn in our direction, for sure.
Now, I noticed that if I were to basically call someone or on an issue and say, money is rigged and here's how banking works, they basically will follow what I'm saying, and they'll understand that, you know, there's fractional reserve banking, they make money out of nothing. People can kind of buy that. But as soon as you get the conversation to the planes that hit those buildings weren't brown people in a cave, this wasn't some racist thing to start a jihad war, this was a military-industrial complex operation that had to do with false flag to strengthen the military and further take rights from Americans and civilians around the world. Do you notice the same thing, the basic barrier where once you cross a line, people shut down?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's when you're talking to people, you got to really know where not to cross the line. I mean, because everybody's going to have their awakening in a different way. And I find if you push too hard, say if you're talking about the banking, you move right into 9/11, it's exactly what you said, they're going to shut right off. So you just got to kind of lead them into it.
Do you feel that that leaves something out by not bringing the whole information to them? Or how do you think that's fair? It's like if I'm a truther and I'm trying to bring Terry the truth and I bring you half the truth, and I leave out a big part because I know it's going to crush your point of view, am I really being the truther, or am I being the filter of information, again, because of
That's very
the
true.
ridicule that comes next?
Yeah, that is very true. So maybe it is better just to give her all out, and, you know, they might ridicule you, but maybe they're going to go home that night and look into it a little bit.
The one thing I noticed is basically most people cut off at the barrier where you sound crazy. So you won't mention the 9/11, you won't mention reptilians, you won't mention crazy Illuminati conspiracies, but you're basically afraid of what the group of sheeple are going to think about what you're saying, when really the group of sheeple are just sheeple. So you shouldn't be really worried and think that it matters that that's what's happening when you walk away from the group and then let them have it. So I kind of let them have it now all the time, because really,
I kind of
unless I'm trying to get someone on one specific topic, I really just let them have it now. It's to that point.
Yeah, I think I'm getting to that point as well, but I've tried for a long time to be more strategic about it, you know, give hints, try to lead them in the right direction without having to go all out. But like I said, I'm coming to the point where it's more all out.
I know that my delivery has been flawed in the past, apparently, when you tell people that they're asleep sheep and they're retarded about this and they don't know about this, so they shut down. So we've kind of making new delivery methods and different ways of bringing it up, kind of buttering them up and then letting them have it themselves. What would be your favorite way of waking up someone or bringing up the topics and getting them to talk about it without getting them into attack mode?
Well, you just try to bring it up in regular conversation. Say if you're like at a health food store. I've done this many of times. Health Canada is restricting our access to natural health products. So, say if I'm in line and there's 5 people in line, I'll just start talking to one of them. Hey, have you been able to find activated charcoal anywhere? And, you know, strike up the conversation that way. There's so many different ways, and then you can go on from there. You can get into fluoride, geoengineering, all the health issues, and then say, well, on top of it, you know, the banking. And I've made a lot of friends in health food stores, at the gym. If you go to the gym, that's another good place. Just by starting regular conversations. And, I mean, when you know the truth, you can inject the truth into any kind of conversation.
Do you have any basic one-liners or tricks to basically get them into talking about it?
Yeah, you know, there's like I've used this many times when talking about fluoride. Is I'll just say, okay, do you trust your government? Now, 99% of people out there are going to say, no, we don't trust them, not at any level. And then you say, well, is it logical then to trust them about this? You kind of catch them in their own thinking, right?
Yeah, so basically set them up for what their next one's going to be. I like to get people talking about, if I'm hanging out with one of the sporters, I'll get them to talk about their favorite team, and they'll tell me about all the different issues with their team and the statistics and all the numbers and how well their team's doing. And then basically after they've talked for half an hour about facts that is dear to their heart but really means nothing to average day life, I'll then ask them about, well, how about money? How about, you know about fractional reserve? Do you know about interest and how money works and lending? And they'll basically look at me stumped or not have as many answers or not talk as much. And that's basically when I say to them, okay, now money, if you have all of the money in the world or the least amount of money in the world, you could change your life drastically. And if the hockey game stopped being on, it really wouldn't affect you a whole lot unless you're a gambler. Then it might extremely affect you.
Yeah.
But how come you know everything about this team that doesn't affect your life one way or another, but you don't know anything about something that could change your life extremely one way or another? And it kind of seems to be just a little bit of an eye-opener of trying to strike up some sort of conversation about it. And
yeah.
It kind of hits home when you pick one of their topics, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it was so, like, you know, and you get all these protests going on, the Occupy, the casseroles. Those are great ways to interact with people who would be willing to listen. We've had some bad experiences with the ones here in Hamilton and in Toronto, but still made some friends out of it and still been able to have some good conversations. So that's another way is if you've got a protest in your area, I mean, go out there and talk to them. For the casseroles, we went out and talked about the Bank of Canada, the issuing of our currency, because it was relevant to that. Okay, you don't want more tuition, you don't want austerity cuts. Well, here's a look at like the root cause of what's causing all of that, and explain it to them that way.
You figure once they're already out there in protest mode, it's a good time to come in and hit them with the actual real reason of what's behind it.
Yeah. And still, even with them, I mean, the large majority are not going to listen to you, but you will get the ones who do.
Now, the one thing I wanted to mention to people is I had the pleasure and experience of going to our great G20 summit downtown Toronto in, I believe that was July 2010. And Terry went down there with me, and we had a good old time as a group walking around Toronto. What were some of the experiences you realized there once it was right in your face, the actual police state? What were some thoughts from that day?
Well, I mean, as soon as I got home, it just made me realize how real everything really is. You know, before then, of course, I'd watched all the documentaries, I'd read lots of articles, but I'd never seen it that intense and in your face before.
Didn't really codify what was happening until you look at it, eh?
Yeah, exactly. When you've got those rows of riot cops standing in front of you, kind of changes your perspective a little bit.
What was the worst part of that day for you in the way of overall the whole police state day? What was the worst part?
I think we were pretty lucky. We didn't get caught up in too much. I'd say the worst experience for me was just seeing them totally shut down a city like that. And then 2 blocks away, I remember when we were leaving, 2 blocks away, people were literally just shopping and going on about their daily business.
Someone was yelling at them with a megaphone.
Yeah, I don't know who that could have been.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that for me down there, my worst part when I was physically there was not only seeing the people shopping completely mindless to what was going on just blocks away, but even the people who were in the protest being mindless to what was really happening. A lot of the protesters didn't seem to be even aware of what was going on and were only there for some small issue. And
yeah,
then when I got home,
separate groups.
Yeah, when I got home, the real issue once you were home and watching the news that made me crazy was you would see all of these people going on and on about the black bloc and going on about the cars burning, and I was there for the whole day, and that is not what you saw. They basically took the shitty highlight reel and put it out there for everyone to look at.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's mainstream media, right? Working in tandem. So, yeah.
It amazes me that they don't have anyone pointing out the fact that the last time something like this happened, like in Quebec, where it was actual rioters dressed up, or police dressed up as rioters, and were caught.
Yep, absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Montebello, Quebec, 2007, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. My co-host is texting me at the moment right now, and apparently he's having some technical issues driving on the road. He was trying to call in from the road.
Oh, no good.
He's not making it on, so hello, Paul, when you're listening to the rebroadcast. Now, what's next on your list? What's coming up?
Well, we're working on a film right now on Agenda 21. We were doing weekly news reports. I was asked to do one on Agenda 21. I said, sure, no problem. A 20-minute news report is now turned into a film. I mean, that rabbit hole goes so deep. It's disgusting. You're looking at regional governments already being set up, regional governments that cross borders. We're in the Great Lakes mega region, so that includes southern Ontario and into Ohio and New York. That's going to be the mega region for this area. on our website, we've got tons of information about it. If you don't know what Agenda 21 is, please check it out.
Now, I'm totally aware of what's going on with Agenda 21, and it's starting basically at the Rio Summit in 92. I have some friends, I won't name any names, but they're basically not only involved with the green movement, but they are working with the conservation authorities and working with all of your different kind of solar energy. These people who are real nice people who are dedicated to doing something they think is aware. How would you go about telling these people who believe they're on track of being a greenie that they're actually working for the Agenda 21 and working for the New World Order itself without realizing it? Well-meaning people.
Yeah, the best thing to do is just show them the organizations that are running these programs and how they are Agenda 21, and then how Agenda 21 has nothing to really do about sustainability or improving the environment. A story just came out of Drummondville, Quebec yesterday that we've posted on our website where a couple people have used their front yard to make a vegetable garden, which
I might have one of those evil gardens myself.
Yeah, and I mean, the city has now come down on them, saying that they have to restrict that to only 30% of the yard. It can't be more than 30%. If they don't comply with this, they are facing fines of $100 to $300 per day that they're not in compliance.
Now, where is this happening?
Drummondville, Quebec.
So this is in Canada.
Yeah, so now if you look into what kind of programs that city's running, they're right in with Agenda 21. I can't remember the exact name of what they call it. It's climate something. That's their Agenda 21 program in Quebec. And this city has signed on to it, and that's the programs they're running. That's part of this program. So now if it was things like that, if it was about sustainability, front yard and backyard gardens would be totally welcome. It's about self-sustainability when it's government-controlled. I want you to be...
I have a small garden in my backyard that's probably only 10 by 10 feet tops. But, I mean, we would love to make the whole yard. Why not? Why would you not want to be able to feed your own family non-genetically modified crops and be able to save money at the same time? Have you been to the grocery store? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's going to get worse this fall. You know, we've got this kind of crazy weather that's affecting the corn and soy and apple.
Well,
all the crops, they're going to be affected. So,
do you think that if we all hurry up and pay Al Gore some money, that maybe we'll get through it all?
Maybe our green savior will come through for us. You never know, right? Mr. Al Gore. It's incredible.
Now,
pay him some taxes and we'll be okay.
Now, with our radio show, we're going to try and see if we can get you back up regularly with any important updates from the Canadian Awareness Network. And are you still affiliated with the We Are Change people, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, I still speak to them and everything. I've been looking for somebody to take over We Are Change Brantford. It's been almost 2 years now, so I'm really hoping there are some people out in Brantford who want to get active and want to really get out there and do things.
I see Casey online every day.
Yeah, I talk to him every now and then, but, haven't kept in touch the way I should have.
Well, I see him fighting the fight, so maybe you should get him motivated, get him on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a great guy. He did a lot of great work with us. We were lucky in Brantford fighting the fluoride. We did the same here. Of course, we weren't successful in either place yet. But in Brantford and Hamilton, we had Dr. Connick come out.
People had said that Brantford water has been not fluoridated since the 80s. Is that true? I was under the impression it was.
No, that's not true at all. All of Brant County has been fluoridated since 1945. It was the first Canadian city to fluoridate its water supply. And I did a film called Fluoride Safe and Effective. It goes right into the history of all of it until present day. in Brant County, they fluoridated the water. They started adding hydrofluorosilicic acid to the water for 3 months before notifying the public to, quote, give it a fair trial. The head medical officer of health for Brantford at that time was Dr. Hutton. I'm going to break this here. This is coming out in a new film. What his other position was from 1930 until 1938 was president of the Eugenics Society of Canada. Now in 38, he didn't just leave the society. One of their younger staffers made a comment likening them to the Nazis. So everybody pulled funding on them. So it shut down. He left in 38. In the same year, he became head medical officer of health in Brantford, pushed water fluoridation. 45, they started it.
That is crazy. Basically, anyone who doesn't know what eugenics is, type into your NSA search engine, Google, eugenics, spend half an hour looking up. These are a group of people who basically wanted to make a better race by eliminating anyone with any flaws. Well, your parents were convicted of a crime, so there's a likelihood you might have been convicted of a crime. We should make you sterile.
And, you know, a lot of people think, oh, it's just Nazi Germany that did it. Well, Canada had forced sterilization laws until almost 1980.
Yeah, they were right through the 70s.
Yeah, we forcibly sterilized thousands of people.
Including our native friends who we rounded up and put on reservations.
Oh, that's the saddest part about it. In Alberta, up until the 70s, native populations accounted for 2% of the provincial population, but yet 25% of the forced sterilizations were natives.
That is crazy. What do you think the average eugenicist would think about sterilizing their family? If they're all for it, do you not think they would want to join the cause and let's get down and sterilize my children right away?
Oh, of course not, because they're the chosen gods. They're our masters. They're better than us. Us common people only have to deal with that stuff.
That's crazy. All right, well, we're going to try and get you back up to date for any updates on your site, and we're going to get you on to let us know about any upcoming Bilderberg and G20 meetings that I could come bullhorn with you guys and be a biggest pest in the New World Order side as we can.
That'd be great.
And if anything comes on the forefront, just feel free to call in. We're on every Wednesday and Saturday, and let us know any breaking news. We definitely want to know when your movie's ready. So
absolutely.
Keep us updated on your eugenics movie or your Agenda 21 movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the show. Talk to you again.
Thanks for having me. Talk to you
problem.
soon.
See you there.
Take care.
All right. Once again, that was Terry from the Canadian Awareness Network. I actually got that right. Normally this is where we'd get me and Paul to sum up the show. Since he's not here, Paul, what do you think? Nothing much, eh? Thanks. Maybe send me a text message of something I can say on the air. Your thoughts on the show. We'll be back next week. We're going to have an announcement from the mass arrests and the Facebook page Global Voice 2012. Apparently there's been some issues on there revolving some of the members of the show named Drake and the Lady Dragon. And we're going to get some updates from one of the people on the Facebook page, one of the moderators. He started his own new page, and they're going to have their own radio show. We'll try and get some updates. And we're going to have a couple feature shows coming up for anyone who's speculators, that we try and disprove anything that they think is completely insane or unbelievable. We'll try and get some actual evidence on air, stick to one topic for a whole show, and try and help some people get past the Berlin Wall that the mainstream media keeps in place. Remembering that not just one person, every one of us together is 7 billion people. So anytime that all of us want to take time to stand up, get on track with being a part of the movement, stopping the people from shutting down the internet. Right now there's a huge move to take down the internet. It's probably what one of our next shows is going to be on, dedicated to explaining to people what we're about to lose here and how it's helped the entire movement at all. So thanks for tuning in. Truth Talk Radio. I'm Chance George. Thank you again.